Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to The Medium by Design. This morning's inspiration came from a Facebook post. Thank you to that person that posted a reminder of the 25th anniversary of the passing of Princess Diana. This message is phenomenal, deep, a little bit in our face, and very sweet. Has a lot of layers to it, so I'll get right into it. My intro was, one of the first posts today on Facebook was the 25th anniversary of Princess Diana's death. I thought this would be a good time to check in with her and ask her to share anything she would like to share. Princess Diana, I welcome you. And here she goes. It's been a while since I shared with you, and a lot has changed in your world. When we spoke last, I warned you of some of the behind-the-scenes activity in both our country's governments and stated that the US was actually a little worse than the UK. Now many can see they are actually neck and neck. I don't wish to start this conversation on a sour note or have anyone experience a negative reaction to what I am sharing. I actually wish for all of you simply to know about some of the actions and decisions that have been made over the last 10 or so years that have not had your well-being in mind. I will endeavor to keep this as clear and simple as possible. Looking back when Charles and I were together, it was most definitely a simpler time. We certainly did not have any of the hidden agendas that are so blatantly discussed and discovered now. You might go as far to say that we were simpler folk. This would not be far off the mark. I had the simple pleasure of meeting all kinds of people and trying to help those I felt called. That was pretty much what I lived for. I also adored having my boys. I loved motherhood immensely. As most of you know, the main issue that the royal family had, and not all of them by the way, was that I was an outsider to a certain extent. However true that is, most soon felt that I was a very good person at heart and that whatever endeavors I felt called to be part could only make the royal family look good. So for the most part, I was left alone to do what I did. The pressure that many perceived me living under was not just due to the royals, but the extreme invasive behaviors of the media paparazzi. I will tell you that for me personally, I felt it extremely difficult to live the life I wanted to live. Many of you will hear this and say, well, that's the life she chose. And you would be absolutely correct. However, the behavior of all those involved is simply inexcusable. The total misconception that once you are a public figure or reach a level of celebrity, you become fair game for mistreatment, judgment, and have no right to any privacy is nothing short of abuse. And in my case, it reached epic proportions. I believe that simple care of any other human has been lost somewhere, and it is far overdue to get some level of common decency of behavior toward one another back. That is the one area I did my best never to lose. The treatment of each human being I met was kept in the highest regard for me. You might say I believed in a certain amount of dignity for all and did my best to live with that at all times. So where do you go from here? You, many of you, no doubt are starting to get a very clear picture how the world is being run by the chosen few and being run without regard to most of you. This is a fact now, and there is no denying it. Those of you that are keeping the light alive in your lives and continuing to carry on with your principles and morals in check, kudos to you. However, those of you who have fallen into the trap of mind conditioning by your governments are still in for a rude awakening. There is still much you do not know that will continue to be leaked out. Some of you will declare, "I knew it." Many will simply be shocked. Then the rest will completely ignore what is being placed right in front of their faces and not be able to register what is being shown to them. I believe you have coined the phrase cognitive dissonance. This was not something I would have ever heard of, but I have been doing my best to keep up with how the world is changing. What can be done with all this information? Well, the first step is to deeply understand for yourself. Yes, keep it simple. From your personal understanding, then, you can discern the best steps in your own life to follow. Many of you have made some drastic changes these last 3 years, and some have wondered, how will we get through this? That is a great question. The world is shifting drastically and dramatically, and many of you are just holding your breath, trying to stay afloat. Although that might be your first initial reaction, just to survive, I'd like you to consider the life choices you make from here out a little more deeply. Many will try and carry on like nothing has happened or changed and continue to do most things like they have always done. But that would completely deny what this intense period was here to help not only open your eyes, but also guide many of you to make some greater choices to make your lives more simple and easier to enjoy. Cutting ties was never such an important topic in your personal lives than it is now. The time for proving you are right, debating and defending what you believe is over. All that is needed now is to live your life the way you see fit. Anything, anyone, any place, and everything else you have and are involved in your life that does not fit how you wish to live must go. It is that simple. Now, when I say go, that does not mean you can never cross paths with anyone who believes differently. However, you will find those connections much more like ships passing in the night quietly without much, if any, exchange of any significance. You see, each of you are literally carving a new path, a path that represents more of who you truly are and less of what you tried to be. Don't you remember the days of trying to impress? Putting on airs to make someone believe you were something you were not? This is the type of thing that has no place in your world anymore. Earlier, when I spoke a little of how I lived my life, I tried to convey this to you. I did my best to keep those things that were dear to my heart as my number one priorities, even with the many pressures that were around me at the time. Here's why you would do this now. The more you live your truest life, that is, living what is most important to you, the more your personal light can shine and allow others the permission to be themselves and share of themselves on a deeper level. Salvatore knows this is not easy, as many will not relate, and there are periods of extreme aloneness, especially now as the old guard is let go of and the void has not been filled yet with those that understand and want to partake and share in the life you have chosen. This is what true personal evolution looks like. You can choose to keep the old life going, but you will never reap the benefits of those true deep connections and sharings that can happen by being authentic. So I would say, continue to carry on, letting go and removing those things that don't seem to fit anymore. Allow yourself the full permission to live more freely and express what truly matters to you. I would suggest paying attention daily to those seemingly meaningless exchanges with everyone you meet and see if there is more there to share than simply checking out at the store or running errands. There is much more to this life than you can ever imagine if you remain open to all the possibilities. If you need a reminder, look back at the videos of me meeting all those strangers, and especially the ones that I pause and take a moment with. Those are the ones that touch me deeply, and I will never forget. How wonderful to remember each of those beautiful souls and having gratitude for making my life that much better. So there's Princess Diana's beautiful message, and I love the last paragraph because she knows that this is how I live my life. I have the most amazing connections with some of the businesses I have to go to and pick up things, or just simply running errands to the store, and all of a sudden there's this moment of opening where the light comes in to the conversation I'm having, and it really is living that touched by an angel moment. If you remember that television show, it's very in my forefront, the forefront of my mind recently, that this is what Spirit is doing with me on my errands and my daily connections. It really literally comes in, the light comes in through my body. I expand of just expressing myself the way I do here on YouTube. There's no hidden agenda here. This is it. This is what I do. This is it. And this is my opportunity to touch people's lives. And the same thing happens in my daily life. So as you go about your day today, remember that these seemingly insignificant changes could open the door to a very deep connection to someone that you never thought was coming. And if you have that experience, please put it in the comments. Share your deeper life experience. And the other thing I wanted to remind everybody of, a recent message of mine that I believe is here on YouTube, we were reminded that many of you have the ability to do this level of communication and simply choose not to. If you're one of those people, I would suggest asking yourself why. Is it a simple belief that you don't believe you can do it? Is it that you don't want to give your time to write in your journal and ask questions? Remember the Conversations with God books? That is the way I started, exactly the way that man started his conversations with God's Spirit is the way that I did, with the yellow legal pads, and I still have all the written messages that started on the written pads, and of course now I moved on to doing it on the computer. So if you can allow yourself the time to do that deep work with yourself, imagine how that light in you will have an opportunity to expand in your daily life and shift the experience you have with every soul you meet. That is what I believe life is for. And so did Princess Diana. So if you liked anything that you saw today or heard today, please like it, subscribe if you'd like. If you want to connect with me, my email is below. If you want a personal writing, a personal session, just contact me. There's so much more to come on The Medium by Design. Have a wonderfully deep, beautiful day.